Okay. Hello. These scriptures I'm going to give you real soon are scriptures you really need to study for yourself, because this message is a very tough message. This is a message that the Lord has given me to give out, because we have so many people right now that follow man instead of following God. And in 2 Peter 3:10, he gives you a description of what's going to happen in the end days. And when judgment happens, the title of this message is "The Earth is Having Birth Pains." Man wants to explain away what they do not understand, instead of going to the creator of the universe for the right answer. And why is this? Because they follow man. God is a God of riddles, and you cannot find treasures in God's words if you are in the flesh. It's impossible. Why? Because God designed it that way. 1 Corinthians 2:14 says, "But the natural man receiveth not the things of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth." That means we've got to hear the voice of God, and we have to line it up with the Word of God to make sure it's the right voice, and then we have to obey. Isaiah 24:1 says, God says he's going to turn the world upside down. Now, man didn't understand this. So how is God going to turn the world upside down? 2 Peter 3:10 tells us, Revelation 8:8 tells us, Revelation 8:8 says, "And the second angel sounded, as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and a third part of the sea became blood." Daniel 2, verses 24 describes this mountain. The earth has been having birth pains. Isaiah 22:18 says, "He will surely violently turn and toss thee a ball into a large country." Okay? America is a large country. There's going to be a big ball dropping in America. There thou shalt die, and there the chariots of glory, the shame of the Lord's house. God is saying he is judging the world, but he's starting in the house of the Lord. Now, America is the most prevalent Christian country in the whole wide world. America is where God's starting with judgment. 1 Peter 4:17 tells us this, that judgment starts in the house of the Lord. Isaiah 24:19 says, "The earth is violent, utterly broken down. The earth is clean, dissolved, and the earth is moved exceedingly." Verse 20 says, "The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again." Okay, now I brought this little demonstration right here. Kind of looks like an eye, but it's not. It's supposed to be the earth. Okay, and I'll show you in a minute what the Lord showed me. Okay, or a few minutes. Okay, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. This is verse 24:20, and it shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Zechariah 8 verses 7 and 8 is end day prophecy. Verses 7 says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will save my people from the east country, which is Jerusalem, and from the west country, which is Texas." Now, I've done a teaching on all the land being together. Okay? All the land was together during the time of Peleg. Okay? And so all the continents were together. Texas was right by Africa. And at that period of time, it was land. It wasn't water. Okay? It wasn't the Gulf of Mexico. A big ball got thrown in the middle of Texas, and not in the middle of Texas, but by Texas and Africa. And it separated the continents. Okay? And that's in Genesis 11. Okay? So, Zechariah 8, verses 8 says, "And I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God in truth and in righteousness." God says his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, and he will rip the earth away. This mountain will be divided. Now, this right here is a chart, okay? This is fault lines underneath the earth. There is a major fault line on the Mount of Olives. A major fault line. All this is major fault lines, okay? What God showed me was these fault lines right through here. These pieces of dirt, they were removed, okay? Now, all these fault lines are birth pains. The earth is having birth pains, okay? So Zechariah 8:3 says, Thus saith the Lord, I am returned into Zion, and I will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem should be called the city of truth, and the mountain of the Lord of hosts, the holy mountain. Okay, this is one nation. God says he's not going to no longer have two nations, which would be America and which would be Jerusalem. He's going to have one nation, which will be the New Jerusalem. Jesus will be in Zion, standing for those who followed the Lamb. This is in Revelation 14:1 and 4. So we can see that the New Jerusalem is part of Zion. Zion is Texas, right here. The New Jerusalem is right here. Right here and right here is Texas. They're on the same lateral line. That's the New Jerusalem. Okay, right here is the Mount of Olives. Right across, which is not quite straight, but anyway, is Texas. Texas is right there, straight across. Okay, so we can see that the New Jerusalem is part of Zion. The birthing of the New Jerusalem is the same as a woman having birth pains or labor pains and her water breaking. God is going to break the earth's water and expel the birth of the New Jerusalem. Isaiah 66:9 says, Who has heard such a thing? Who has seen such things? Shall the earth made to be bring forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed. Okay, right now, y'all, we are travailing, okay? What we're going through in America is, Texas too, is not anything we've ever been through before. We are starting to see the light separated and the darkness separated. God is dividing his people, the goats from the sheep. Okay, Isaiah 66. I'm going to read this one more time. Who hath heard such a thing? Who had seen such things? Shall the earth bring forth in one day, or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Verse 9 says, Shall I bring to birth and not cause to bring forth, saith the Lord? Shall I cause to bring forth and shut the womb? The Lord is going to tear himself out of his anger of the womb of the earth. Now this is what I wanted to show you. Okay, this is what the Lord showed me. I asked the Lord. I said, Lord, how in the world is all the earth going to get burned up and we're not going to get burned up? And this is what he showed me. He showed me the New Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem was shot out of the earth, okay? So we had part of the earth taken out. This part was taken out. And then this part was alive. This part is the New Jerusalem. And Zion is in the New Jerusalem. The living water flows through the rock because the living water is underneath in this rock. Okay, not this rock, but in Jesus. Jesus is the rock, okay? Now I want to read you the rest of it, okay? It says, the Lord is going to tear himself in his anger out of the womb. The Lord's the rock, right? He's going to tear himself out of his anger out of the womb, okay? This is in Job 18:4. He teareth himself in his anger. Shall the earth be forsaken for thee? And shall the rock be removed out of its place? Okay? Jesus is the rock, the cornerstone. In Job 38:6, it tells us that the foundation is fastened also. It tells us that the cornerstone was laid before the foundation of the world. 1 Peter 2:6 says the cornerstone is in Zion. Okay? The cornerstone is in the rock. It's the very first place that God, that little blue mark marks it, okay? It's the very first place that God laid the cornerstone. He laid it in the Garden of Eden. It was already there, okay? And then it tells us that in 1 Peter 2:6 says the cornerstone is in Zion. Zion is the Garden of Eden, okay? Isaiah 22:23 describes Jesus as a nail fastened in a sure place. Okay, the nail that was fastened in a sure place the fault lines are the birth pains. When the fault lines start getting to the 10, when they reach 10, the New Jerusalem will be expelled because there will be a ball thrown to earth. And the ball will expel the New Jerusalem. Okay? So, in Isaiah 22:23 describes Jesus as the nail fastened in the sure place. Isaiah 22:25 says, tells us that the nail that was fastened in the sure place will be removed. The nail that held all this together, okay, the nail that was placed before the foundation of the world, that held the rock in place, the ball that hits the rock, hits the over the living waters, will break the nail, and then the New Jerusalem will be expelled. Birth pains. The New Jerusalem will be birthed in one day. Okay, I'm going to read that one more time. Isaiah 22:25 tells us the nail that was fastened in the sure place will be removed, and the burden, the sinful earth, shall be cut off. God spoke to Abraham in Genesis 12:1. Now the Lord has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country and from thy father's house into a land that I will show you. Abram obeyed the voice of God because he walked in the spirit and not the flesh. God was soon to destroy Babel. God is again soon to destroy Babel. America is Babel, y'all. The world's Babel. It's one world government, whether we know it or not. It just has a different name. Just as in the days of Babel, we have not even realized it. Do you follow the shepherd's voice? John 10:27 says, My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. The master designer placed the rock fastened by a nail that will be broken when the earth's water breaks. That's in Revelation 8:10, upon the beginning of the fountains of water. The beginning of the greatest underground river in the world is called Ogallala. Richard Higgins, the author of World's Underground River, says it starts under the Colorado Rocky Mountains, but others have said it starts in Nebraska. Only God knows. Now you can do some research and ask God. That's who I would ask, because you get the right answer every time you ask God. God threw down an asteroid on